Hey, folks, welcome to the Rain Channel. JG, thanks for joining me, my friend.
Hey, my absolute pleasure. It's gonna be fun. Good conversation.
Good conversation. Now, we're talking about what's going on in the real estate market, especially when it comes to just innovation overall, but technology and how it's impacting the real estate market. And we've only just begun. Now, we just got back from, or I just got back from Toronto. We had a great live event, and we're really talking with investors about technology. Now, it's interesting to note in all of this is that we've embraced technology and especially over the past 2 or 3 years. And I'm talking about technology in terms of how we do virtual events, which many people are doing, and whether it be YouTube or Yardstream or whatever platform we happen to use to get the message out there. It really changed the dynamics of being national in scope of the education that we provide. But that's all to say this is that creative realtors, creative real estate investors have really embraced technology and really shrinking the world because it doesn't matter what province you're in, you can be very thorough in your diligence in looking at municipalities, cities outside of your own province and working with realtors who are equipped to do that. Now, that's just one aspect of it. And then I want to dig into some other stuff. Do you have some comments on that? I mean, you're in the trenches every day. So, what's some of the technology, for example, that you're embracing?
Well, I'll tell you. Let me start by saying this, Patrick. You literally have cars, and we'll talk about real estate in like a broad sense, right?
Yeah.
Not just the deal making part of it or the property management part of it. We'll talk about construction. I mean, we'll get into every part of it. But my point is that there are cars today that drive themselves very, very well. Like they're literally,
Yeah.
if you've driven a new Tesla in full self-driving mode, it's incredible. Meanwhile, we've been able to go from the fact that electric cars were thought of as a crazy idea to full self-driving cars in a matter of like less than 10 years.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, we're still building houses the way we were in 1900 with
Yeah.
nails. And yes, we use better tools nowadays, but the point is that there's real estate is a bit of a dinosaur industry, Patrick, and it takes it's such a big industry that once the tech hits it, it goes through it really, really quickly, but it has to be available at scale. And we're starting to see that in different segments of the real estate market. So the real estate industry is a vast industry, and there's different parts: the sales and marketing part, the property management part, the building part, different technologies getting into every part of it. And as that technology scales, it will revolutionize how real estate is done. And I'll tell you right now, because I've seen this, and even though I've only been in business for 20 years, not your 40 years, Patrick, but you've seen this as well. When technology moves through a sector, it disrupts the entire thing, and those that are ahead of it will benefit greatly. Those that are behind it will get disrupted and left behind, and they will have to adapt and pivot, which is way harder to adapt and pivot after the technology's gone through than to pivot before it goes there, which is why we do these kinds of talks and episodes where we talk about what's coming so people can be ahead of the game instead of behind the eight ball.
Well, and that's a really great point because we often make the references that if you're surfing, you don't want to be chasing the wave, you want to be in front of the wave. That's how you have
Mhm.
fun surfing, right? Is getting in front of the wave, knowing that you can ride that wave. And that's what it is in real estate. It's interesting what you just said though around technology and innovation. To Jeff Booth's point, we've had him on our rain stage on more than one occasion. I've had him on my podcast. The point is that, as Jeff Booth says, is that innovation shifts, it is actually deflationary, not inflationary. And that's an
Mhm.
interesting point that in the real estate world that we have to see. Now, I want to go off on a little bit of a tangent, but still related to real estate innovation. You know what? I think the solution for our housing shortages, or one of the solutions, there isn't a solution, but certainly one of the things that I haven't heard. So you're hearing it from me first, and probably I'm not the first, but I'm the only one that I've heard say it out loud, which is this. We look at the government and we know that the government has a fundamental problem, that they don't understand real estate markets. They have been part of the cause of the real estate problem. Let me ask you this question. How do we expect them to fix the problem when they have no idea? So here's my innovation idea. The challenge that they face, they can put $1 billion. I think they just put $1 billion into somewhere on the East Coast, and I've just lost what city. How the hell are they going to build 40,000 homes over the next 5 years, which is their commitment? They put $1 billion into it. Where are they going to get the labor and the talent to build that? They're already struggling to build 6,000 homes a year. And now they're going to what? Add another 8,000 homes to that number? So whatever the numbers are, we have a problem. They're not going to be able to build. So here's my solution. Take that $1 billion, put it into housing manufacturing plants. In other words, forget the traditional hammer and nails on-site building, pre-build, which they're doing lots of manufacturers, especially in the tiny home industry, are doing that now. Why aren't we building for affordable housing in manufacturing facilities? They're dry, they're controllable. You'll have lots of employment, lots of workers who can do those jobs, go through that process, systematize it, and the next thing you know, you're coming out the other door with homes that you can put together on site that are manufactured under controlled conditions with great quality assurances, great weather conditions because it's constant,
Well,
and cost manufacturing. So
well,
why are people talking about that? Tell me that.
well, there's a good. You know what? Listen, I want to talk about this because funny. I just literally was doing research on this morning at 6 o'clock this morning, because here we are. We're building self-driving cars in factories that are just about 100% automated with robots. Meanwhile, I have a trades guy building a wall in the rain or in the snow. If you're in Calgary this week, you got a foot of snow. If you're in Edmonton, you got a half foot of snow. You're literally building walls in snow up to your knees. It just doesn't make sense, Patrick. So I totally agree with you. But in terms of the government's, I don't think the government, the best way for them, in my opinion, my humble opinion, by the way, because I ain't no expert on this, but they have to engage the entrepreneur community to solve this problem. The government will not solve this problem, Patrick. The government is not made to solve problems. Entrepreneurs are made to solve problems, but the government could incentivize the entrepreneurs. Take that $1 billion, put it out through tax rebates, put it out through tax incentives, put it out through pilot programs, and you can put that money to work through entrepreneurship. That's the only way this problem gets solved, dude. The only way is if you engage the entrepreneur community. They're the only people designed to solve problems.
So again, another good point. So if you're listening to this, put it in the comments. Do you think that taking and building affordable homes for those that need affordable housing, because that is the topic of the days on most days, how do we create affordability and create affordable homes? Put in the chat if you think that manufacturing under the roof of a manufacturing facility, it creates jobs, it creates great quality assurance, it creates scale and the ability to take and build those houses on site. I think it's one of the primary solutions to this affordable housing solution, given the immigration that's coming in. And we can, back in the days of the boomers, that's what they did. All over the country, we see these homes that were just, 800 to 1,000 square foot homes. They all looked the same. There was the TikTok of all of the neighborhoods, and they did it in Vancouver. They did it right across the country. And in Vancouver, there's still those homes today, still standing and still being bought and refurbished and doing all the things that they do. My point is to me, that's a one obvious solution to the problem.
It's interesting, Patrick. There's a company. This company I was researching. They're in Idaho, and that's exactly what they do. Is they have this manufacturing facility where they manufacture, in their case, modular homes. But a lot of those robotics, a lot of that manufacturing could definitely be applied to what you're talking about. And this is why I've been for the last. And I'm going to get louder about this. Actually, Patrick, I was going to talk to you about this. I might as well announce it live here on the air. I think I'm going to do a coach home mini series for the Real Estate Investment Network at the upcoming member meetings, because people have really got to look into these coach homes. I mean, you can invest a couple $100,000. You can add a whole lot of cash flow to your property. You can help contribute and solve. If you're in Ontario, there's legislation now. These things are passing. You're able to get the building permits. I mean, a lot of the red tape, Patrick, Doug Ford has done a phenomenal job at obliterating this red tape. It's still not the best. It could still get better, but it's better than it was 18 months ago. I can tell you that firsthand. And I think if investors get behind this coach home movement, I think that this could definitely help. Like you said at the beginning of this, there's no one answer. And people have to stop looking for a single answer to the housing problem. But what they have to do is start doing, we have to start experimenting and actually going in these various directions all at the same time in order to see what is going to, and together, all of the directions will make an impact over time. And coach homes, I have 100% confidence, are a big part of that solution. They're not the entire part of the solution, but they are a huge part to the solution. There's no doubt about that. And if you manufacture those coach homes or parts of those coach homes, and then you build them on site and you can get it done quickly. We're doing this, Patrick, right now. I have a meeting next week on Tuesday with some local businesses here, where I'm looking to do exactly this on a small scale. I want to start manufacturing coach homes in a manufacturing facility so that I can build during the winter and then I can assemble really, really quickly instead of me disrupting the neighborhood for 4, 5, 6 months. I can build it in a factory, go in, excavate, put a slab, build it, and the whole thing is essentially enclosed within 10 to 14 days. That's my plan.
Yes. I think that's a great idea. I love that concept, and I think too is that we bump up against the NIMBYism in that concept. But to our point, there isn't one solution. There is a number of things and initiatives that have to be made. But we keep trying to solve the problem. Again, I go back to Jeff Booth. The system is broken, so the system can't fix the problem. We actually have to step out of the system to actually solve the problem. And the government, it just drives me crazy. They're not the guys to do it. Now, you have a point, and then I want to move. I want to have another.
The NIMBYism, though, funny enough, Patrick, you listen, I fight with NIMBYism every single day. But the NIMBYism, they are the same people that are screaming that we have a housing shortage problem are the same people screaming that we can't do coach homes, that we can't do it in the backyard. And it's the same people. And by the way, as I dig more and more into this, that's a fairly small part of the population. They just have very loud voices.
It is always a case of the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Don't even get me going on that. But I want to go back to this topic of manufactured homes.
But I want to get you going. I want to get you going, Patrick.
No. I want to listen. My view of politics and how inept the government is pretty well known. I think I'm pretty vocal about it. But here's my thing. Manufacturing, or the concept of manufactured homes, is not a new thing. But to your point, and the point you made earlier, why the hell does the government continue to say, okay, well, we're going to throw $1 billion at it and try and figure shit out? Like on site, the way we've always done it. Manufactured homes, to your point, bring it to the entrepreneurs of the world, the business owners of the world. I mean, think about the manufactured homes that are in existence, like the facilities that are already there doing it. Think about those that are even making mobile homes, for example, and building mobile homes. I mean, at the end of the day, there's facilities there that they can tap into. And if the government's going, okay, present to me what you can do, and we'll see what we can do for funding, whether it's funding or tax breaks or incentives to produce a certain way, a price point, whatever it might be. That's where time could be well spent, and we could start to solve the problem. And by the way, regionally, it can make a huge difference. So in other words, you can have those manufacturing facilities in any province, in any city in this country. So that's okay. Enough of that. That's innovation to me, and that would then also be embracing technology. And think how they could wire those homes, JG, in terms of being smart homes. I mean, I think it's the answer.
It's definitely exactly right. There's no doubt it's a big part of the answer. It could be a huge win. It'll create employment. It will help those who have the capital and want to put that capital to work in the real estate business. It'll help put capital to work. It'll help the rental stock and help with that. I mean, it truly is a win-win all around. What we need is just to get moving in that particular direction. I know I'm doing my part, but everyone has to jump on board and look to solve this.
Yes. Okay. So let's move on to a different topic. Man, we beat that one to death, but I think it's a really important topic. Now, let's talk about technology. As I said, we talked about it. We were working, we, of course, are in the world of educating real estate investors, working with investors to have that financial freedom based on real estate. And of course, what's going on right now is everybody's talking about how the sky is falling, real estate's going to crash, the Canadian real estate market. If I hear that term one more time, it's become such a kind of a trigger for me because people are not realizing or not embracing the fact that there is no Canadian real estate market. There are real estate markets regionally, municipally, et cetera. We talk about that many, many times. But here's the thing about it. When we look at what's going on in terms of technology and making decisions, you and I, especially with DI Vault, which we'll talk about at another time, but DI Vault is really the technology that just absolutely proves our point about how regional real estate is, right down to the neighborhood. Because we can now look at the entire country, we can look at an entire province, an entire city, and actually see the trends of real estate, whether it be rental prices or buy and sell prices, and accurate information about how that market is turning, what cash flows, what doesn't cash flow, what strategy works in a particular neighborhood based on that technology. I mean, AI has changed the game, and I'm excited to say we're embracing it. But you walk through that platform all the time, and let's just talk about what you've noticed about the power of that technology as you walk through it and use it yourself.
I think we have to step back. I mean, you and I, as investors and as just enthusiasts of the sport of real estate, we get real excited about the technology, right? But the average person out there, they really don't care about the technology. Like nobody cares about where's my phone. Nobody. I just got the new iPhone 15 the other day. Nobody cares about this thing. They care about what it can do for them, right? Like no one cares. Only Apple and JG cares about the fancy new tech and the fancy cameras and all that stuff. Most people don't care about that. They care about what it can do for them. They care about the fact that they can get, Uber Eats and DoorDash, and they can order online, and it makes their life easier and faster, and all those various things. That's what they care about. So the question about this real estate technology and this boom we're going through right now with programs like the DI Vault, that incredible platform, which what does it do for investors? That's the question. I'll tell you what I've seen it, and A, what I've experienced, and B, what I see it does for other investors is what used to take literally, Patrick, weeks or months of work can be done in minutes. The time savings here is astronomical. And if you and really, if you want to compare it to anything, if I think back to the first time, a lot of people are talking about Chat GPT these days. The first time I used Chat GPT, I thought I'm going to put this thing to the test. I'm going to see if it can write me a blog post. And typically a blog post would take me, by the time I wrote the post, did the post, like a couple hours, right? A couple hours worth of work. I literally had a blog post done. What used to take me, a couple hours, I had the whole thing done in 7 minutes. And I thought, wow, I just saved 1 hour and 53 minutes. Now that I can put a dollar value to, and I'm in. Well, when you talk about something like analyzing different markets, comparing Peterborough to Oshawa to London to Kitchener, and figuring out what's the best market for me to put my capital into, and looking to see what's been happening with the price, and is it a buyer's market, a seller's market, what's the rent, what's the upside rent potential, what all these various technical things that the investors really don't care about. At the end of the day, it gives investors incredible clarity. It's like a pair of these glasses for real estate investors to get incredible clarity into the marketplace of where they want to invest. But best of all is it's not just that it gives you incredible clarity, you save so much time. And to me, those are the two things, Patrick, that take the cake. I'm able to do more than I've ever been able to do before in terms of real estate analysis, so I can make better decisions. And it's taking me literally 1/100th of the time it used to take me. So how's that not an incredible win-win?
Well, it is a win-win, but let's unpack that a little bit deeper. Let's just talk about a typical conversation between a couple of investors, So prior to technology, I phoned JG. I go, JG, I think I found a freaking great deal in Peterborough. And you go, dude, what does it look like? Well, it's this and it's that, and and it's a duplex, up, down, suited, and I think we can get in, maybe even do maybe 10, 15 grand, and just, man, get it rented, and we're handled. And you come back and you go, that sounds great. What are you getting for rent? I don't know. I'm just checking, but I'll follow up. How does the CMAs look? I don't know. I've got my realtor on it. I'll let you know. But right now, it looks like it's going to be a really good deal. Seems priced really good based on what I'm seeing. Like, there's lots of guys asking 600, and I can get this one for 585. That's what they're asking for it. And you go, great, but do you know the comparables yet? No, but I'm working on it. And Joe, the realtor, says he's going to get back to me real soon. And I've got a couple property managers. They're looking at rents. I'm just going to confirm the rents because I'm not really sure what the rents are doing, but my buddy's property manager, he's going to let me know. And you go through this whole song and dance, and 3 or 4 days later, you have some
Well,
idea of what you might.
but not only that, let's go one step further, Patrick. It's not just that. It's like, okay, where's the real estate cycle, right? You've never, let's extend it one step further and say, let's pretend you've never invested in Peterborough. So like, JG, tell me about the Peterborough market. Where's the real estate cycle right now? Okay, well, let's do some research and let's look at the 16 different factors we need to look at to analyze the real estate cycle. You know, like, there's so much depth you have to go to feel confident about investing in real estate.
That's the magic word. You know, we talk about clarity, we talk about the speed of technology, but right there is the confidence to write a conditional offer that you know is solid, that will then spark a real negotiation based on data, not based on guesswork, and that you can confidently make that, like I say, conditional offer because you've got the data to back it. And it's real time. And we're not talking about CMAs that were drug up from a month ago or 2 months ago or 6 months ago. What was happening this week? What was happening today? And that's what technology has really done for us, because now, I mean, think about writing that offer with the data. I mean, we know it. We've played with the technology. We know investors who have used the technology. It changes the game, the speed of which you can get the data and
Well,
look at the deal, but then the confidence to write the offer.
let's speak about data just for a second. I think we need to unpack, technology in its entirety. I think the
Mm-hmm.
first thing is availability of data and the depth and breadth of data. We'll talk about data analysis in a second and artificial intelligence. We'll talk about that. That's exciting stuff, and it's having a massive impact. But let's just talk about the availability of data. Most people, Patrick, as you and I know, and people watching this show, they know as well, because they're probably making these kinds of decisions. You're making decisions, and I guess maybe some people don't know, but the data that you're looking at in most cases is 4, 6, or 8 weeks old.
Yep.
And in the real estate space, that makes the world of a difference. And I have a perfect example of this where I was looking at, and I was showing some investors this a couple of days ago, where they were looking at a particular market, and the average price in that market was 715,000 in their mind, because that's
Yep.
what the data told them. And by the way, good on them for actually going to do that research, because most people don't even do that research. But they scoured the internet, they did all the stuff, they did all the research to find out the average price was 715 for the type of property they were looking at. What they didn't know is that data was 5 weeks old. And I showed them that right now that data is not 715. It's actually 652. That's a $63,000 difference there, Patrick. And if they were going to submit an offer based on old data, they would have submitted something close to 715,000. Meanwhile, the actual price is more like 652. That's the reality of the marketplace out there, and that's what we talk about when you have up to the minute data. That's not 4 weeks, not 5 weeks, not 6 weeks old, but fresh, up to the minute.
Yeah, I think that what I like about this conversation and what we're shining a light on in terms of innovation, in terms of technology, is that right now it's so chaotic. It's so kind of uncertain. We've got all these global economic issues that impact us, nationally, provincially, regionally, all of the things that are happening in the world today. But it is through this chaos that investors with some courage and some patience, and who are willing to do the work, this is where financial futures are built. They're built in this kind of an environment. It's all good in the hood. Everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid when the market is, in that boom cycle. Everybody's feeling rich. Everybody's a real estate genius. It's through these times that when you can take a tool like the technology that's now available, put it to work, this is where financial futures are created. And
And,
this is what speeds it up. This is what makes it easy. And by the way, I'm going to say, relatively speaking, it's almost free to do it.
well, listen, it is absolutely like, and this is the Jeff Booth talks about the deflation effect of technology. This is a good example, Patrick, because what used to take weeks and months and cost a lot of time, time has a value to it. It costs a lot of time to go do all that work. You can do it in seconds, minutes, maybe hours, but definitely seconds and minutes. That's a huge deflationary effect, because you can do so much faster. That's important. The other thing I want to talk about, I actually don't think, Patrick, we speak a little bit about this. We spoke about this in the past, but I think we have to get louder about this point, which is this is an edge. This is an absolute edge right now in the space, but that edge is going to go away. This technology will be pervasive across the entire, and I don't care if it's DI Vault or what tech you're looking at, but these technological edges will go away because they'll become ubiquitous. Like the first couple, you remember, Patrick, back in the day in 2004 when I started my first business, 2003, 2004, I had a BlackBerry just like you did. Right? Those with the BlackBerry had an edge. We were faster than everybody else. We can text, we could email. It was faster than everybody else. As a salesperson, I was better because I had the cutting edge tech. But a year later, everyone had one. I wasn't. I didn't have that edge anymore. That's happening right now with real estate tech, and as DI Vault as an example, and it will go away because very soon. And I don't know if it's a year. I don't know if it's 2 years or 3 years. I really don't. But soon, everyone's going to have these real estate co-pilots. Everyone's going to have this technology. And the edge you got, and I'll talk about how that edge kind of, how that shows up in a real estate investor's life. I'll share that in a second. But that edge will go away. And I don't think we're talking about that too much, Patrick, because people, you know how people are, and I don't blame them. They want to think about it. They want to talk about it. They want to reflect about it. They want to wait a year or two until more people get into the space. That edge, when people get into the space, you'll lose the edge.
Well, yeah, and that's a really great point. And a lot of people will make it wrong. A lot of people are distracted right now. They don't see they don't even see the opportunity in real estate right now, and they don't want to take the time it takes to get ahead of that wave, as we say. And whether it's the wave of real estate, where real estate is going, or the wave of technology, where technology is going, because ultimately what happens is like our technology that we carry around in our hands, pretty soon it's not even an option. You can either adopt it early or then be forced to catch up because it's no longer an option. I mean, you can't imagine living your life without a phone if you're still in the game of life. Now, there's lots of, let's say, people over 70 or over 60 that are kind of going, I don't need it. I just don't use it. It's not my life. But those are very, very few individuals.
Yeah,
Most
very
people
few.
have to have it. You have to have it to communicate, to exist, to know what's going on in the world, to make buying decisions, to actually buy. I mean, it is just the way it is. And that's where I think this technology is going to go. If you're a realtor in the space, if you're an investor in the space, you're going to have to adopt this technology. My suggestion and what we believe is get in front of it, own it, like be
Mm-hmm.
really proactive in using it so that you are in fact ahead of the curve and that you've got the edge you need to create that financial future investing in real estate.
But let me share a story, Patrick. I was actually working with some investors yesterday, I think it was, and they were a little hesitant, right? They were hesitant to. I was having a very similar conversation to this. They were hesitant to adopt the tech, let's call it. And they asked me, they said, "Can you show me what you mean? How this is creating an edge, and just like give me a real example." So I went and I showed them how I literally, in the matter of about 3 minutes, and think about how long this would normally take you as a real estate investor. I looked at all the different markets across Ontario. So let's just say I played a hypothetical scenario, and I asked one of them, I said, does someone here, are you guys looking to buy some property? And they said, yes. So we have some capital in the bank. We want to make some more investments. We're looking at either duplexes or triplexes, and we want it to cash flow. That is the criteria. Duplexes, triplexes, that cash flow. And that are good, nice properties. We don't want to buy pieces of crap. Okay, cool. Great criteria. I analyzed in the matter of less than 5 minutes, I was able to analyze all of the markets across Ontario, the major markets. I narrowed in, by the way, that looked at 37,591 properties. That was the total sphere of what I analyzed.
Yeah.
I then reduced it down to one particular market, London, Ontario in this case. I then reduced it to a neighborhood in this particular case. That took it all down to 891 properties. I looked at only the duplexes and triplexes. That took it down to 156 properties. I then applied the artificial intelligence to say, go look at these 156 properties and tell me which ones meet my criteria the best. That took it down to about 60 properties. And then of those 60, there was only 4 that fully met my criteria, definitely cash flowed at today's market rates, interest rates. I went from a 37,000 properties to 4 in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That, forget how much time that would have taken, Patrick. That would be impossible by my competitors. Impossible.
Well, it would be impossible, number one, to do it without the technology. Secondly, the data that is the accuracy of your assessment, the accuracy of the data that you're getting, or the aside from the speed, it's like current accurate information. You're not guessing. I mean, gosh, we've learned we can't even trust StatsCan anymore. I mean, how much of the Bank of Canada and or the Conference Board of Canada and or even the bank's data? I mean, you go across the 5 banks and you look at their data and you go, oh, they're banks, but they can't even agree on the data. This is technology embracing all the data, using real-time inputs from right across, in your case, the province of Ontario. I mean, the accuracy of the data is game changing. So aside from the speed, it's accurate. So JG, at the end of the day, I'll put the final words to you. For those of you who are on here listening, if you want to know more about this technology, we'll put a link in the description below. But JG, I'll leave the final words to you in terms of the thoughts around technology, investing in real estate. Over to you.
I think for the last 20 years, I've been an entrepreneur. I built and sold 6 different companies. And if I look at my wins across that period of time, I've had many losses, by the way. I've taken my fair share of licks, but if I look at my wins, it was always around pivoting ahead of a market, catching the wave before the wave happened. And I can distinctly remember, like it was yesterday, I had a company. And I didn't realize this, by the way, till years after this happened. But I remember in 2010, 2011, 2012, when social media was really in its heyday. And a lot of people forget, but there was a time when there was no social media, and there was a time when social media was, everybody was obsessed with it, and, everybody read every post, and everybody, and you remember those days. Things are different now, but the point is that we jumped on to social media, not only content, not only advertising, but we jumped onto that whole bandwagon really early on in the adoption curve of it. And I was able to ride that curve and build several huge businesses. I mean, millions and millions of dollars of businesses across many different countries, because I adopted that technology early. And I didn't realize it when I was doing it at the time. I was just in the middle of it. It seemed like the right thing to do, so I did it. But as I reflect on those successes now, I ask myself, what was it that really powered that success? And I realized it was actually the fact that I pivoted earlier than everybody else. I adopted the technology, and it was a technology. People think social networking and social media is many things, but it's really a technology at the end of the day. And because I adopted that early, and I went all in on it, it powered some incredible successes in the years to come. From 2012 to 2018, we scaled many companies across 14 different countries. So the point is I know the value of adopting a trend, and not adopting a trend. That's not the right word. Pivoting to technology and really taking it seriously, not waiting for everyone else to adopt it first, but you adopting it first. I've seen that, I've lived it, and I know that this is the new technology move to be made in the real estate space. Now I'm in the real estate space, so I'm speaking specific to that real estate space. But these have monumental impacts on people's lives, and the decisions you make today around this kind of conversation, you will reap incredible rewards by the end of this decade. Maybe not this year or next year, but by 2027, 2028, 2029, going into 2030, you will be like, wow. And it will, you may be amazed at your success and amazed at the progress you've made towards your financial journey if you make the right decisions today. If you fight where the technology is going, you're just not going to win, because trying to fight and swim upstream is a losing battle.
100%. Wise words. I think at the end of the day, the future is now, which sometimes feels like an overused kind of whatever that is, cliche or meme, but the future is now. The future of technology is now. JG, thanks for joining me on the Rain channel. Folks, if you like this, like it, subscribe to it, comment below what you think of this conversation, and definitely go to the description below if you want to learn more about this amazing technology. JG, thanks again.
Thanks, Patrick.